Hey, what's up everyone? Let's get right into the case of Lars Mittank. Let's go back to the year 2014. Lars Mittank was a 20-year-old guy, very handsome. He had a great social life, he had a girlfriend, and he had a good job at a power plant. His relationship with his family was good. His father actually had a stroke 2 years earlier and needed full-time care. So Lars would go home every weekend and help his mom Sandra take care of him. In June of 2014, Lars and two of his old classmates, his friends, decide to take an all-boys trip to the Golden Sands area of Bulgaria. So definitely a party destination, as you can see. It's kind of seems like the European version of Cancun. So everything was going normal during the trip. Lars was fine. Although he didn't have much of an appetite the entire trip. He was only eating salads and stuff like that. It really wasn't until the last 2 days of the trip that things started to get weird. So on July 5th, Lars and his two friends went to this local bar to watch the World. Soccer is definitely a big deal in Germany, and apparently at the bar, Lars got into some kind of argument over soccer teams with another group of German tourists. It didn't turn physical. Eventually, the people supporting the other team left the bar, and Lars and his friends stayed until closing time. It was then that they went to McDonald's. Lars said he wasn't hungry and stayed outside while his friends went in to order. By the time his friends came out, Lars was nowhere to be found. But it was vacation, they were drunk, and didn't think much of it. So they just went back to the hotel and went to sleep. Lars showed up the next morning to tell his friends a very bizarre thing that happened to him the previous night. He said a group of 4 men speaking either Bulgarian or Russian, and from what he could make out, they were hired by the people that he had an argument with earlier at the bar. The men beat up Lars, leaving him with an injured jaw and a ruptured eardrum. So yeah, his friends didn't believe the story. It was just too out there, and Lars had no bruises or signs that he had been in any kind of fight. But either way, Lars was in a lot of pain, and he was worried about losing his hearing and stuff like that. So his friends took him to a local doctor who diagnosed Lars with a ruptured eardrum. The doctor told Lars not to fly home the next day and to instead see a specialist. The doctor also prescribed the antibiotic cefprozil. They were all set to fly out the next day, and Lars's friends were willing to stay behind, and even arguing that they wanted to stay behind with him. But Lars said, "No, I'm good. I'm a big boy. I can handle this." And so his friends went on their way home, and Lars went to see the specialist. The specialist confirmed that Lars did have a ruptured eardrum, and he recommended surgery to repair the damage. Lars said he would rather have the surgery done in Germany, so the doctor just gave him a prescription for antibiotics and sent him on his way. So apparently Lars's mother, Sandra, found out what was going on, and she bought him a return flight home for the next day, as well as a bus ticket home in case he wouldn't be able to fly. Lars checked out of the luxury hotel that he was in with his friends, and he checked into a budget hotel named Hotel Color for the night. Lars started to act really weird at Hotel Color. The staff said he was shaking and super nervous when he checked in. Closed-circuit television cameras in the hotel recorded him pacing up and down the halls, looking out windows, and hiding in an elevator. Then he called his mom and said a lot of bizarre things. He whispered to his mom, "I don't feel safe here. Someone is following me." He mentioned the Russian men from earlier, saying that the men knew that he had pills on him and they were after him for that. He said that something was off about Hotel Color, and he feared the hotel had stolen his credit card information. Sandra canceled all of Lars' credit cards to calm him down and thought he would be fine because he had plenty of cash. Still, Lars was paranoid and said he needed to get out of the hotel. It was almost midnight though, so Sandra urged Lars to stay in his hotel room until his flight the next day. Lars texted his mother, telling her the name of the medication he was given and asking what it was. He then called her again, saying some men were following him, trying to kill him, and they were getting closer. Hotel staff also see Lars leave with all his luggage at 1 a.m., then saw him return an hour later. At 5 a.m., a taxi driver saw Lars desperately trying to flag him down. The taxi already had a passenger in it, but both the driver and the passenger could tell that Lars was very desperate, so they picked him up anyway. They said that Lars's pupils were super dilated and he seemed to be on something. As they drove Lars to the airport, Lars told the driver how happy he was to be returning to Germany. Lars called his mother again once he got to the airport. He asked her to wire him $500 via Western Union since all of his cards had been canceled. His mom sent the money, and she recommended that he see a medical specialist at the airport so that they could make sure that his ear was safe for him to fly. We can see on the CCTV footage, Lars comes into the airport very calm. He blends in pretty well with everyone else. He calls his mom again and whispers something she can't understand and hangs up. You can then see him on camera asking a woman for directions to the medical center at the airport, to which he went. Lars consults with Dr. Kosta Kostov. The doctor described Lars's behavior as nervous and erratic. The doctor told Lars that he was fine and could return home. However, Lars did not leave his office, expressing doubt about the medication that he was taking. An airport construction worker accidentally wandered into the doctor's office. At this point, Lars began to tremble. He yelled, "I don't want to die here. I have to get out of here." He then got up and fled the office. He left behind all of his luggage, which included his wallet, cell phone, and passport. When he got to the parking lot, though, Lars really slowed down and kind of just jogged and almost walked. He also didn't look behind him, which you would think he would do if he thought someone was following him. A couple of witnesses said they then saw Lars climb an 8-foot barbed wire fence. He ran into a sunflower field where it is difficult to see Lars amongst the plants. And that was the last time Lars was ever seen again. Dogs were brought in and extensive searches of the airport and sunflower field, but there was no trace of Lars. Lars's luggage was searched and no drugs were found. The CCTV footage from the airport quickly went viral worldwide. However, the areas surrounding the airport are rural, and few people have internet access, so anyone who saw him that day likely had no idea who he was. Mom Sandra quickly flew to Bulgaria with friends. They passed out flyers, searched hospitals and morgues, but found nothing. This case honestly has more questions than answers because everything is just so bizarre. One of the theories is that Lars was schizophrenic. He was at the age where schizophrenia begins, and he had all the symptoms. But if he had schizophrenia, he would be displaying symptoms for months or even years before that. No one just becomes schizophrenic overnight. Lars's mother also said there is no history of mental illness in his family. Others think that Lars decided to start a new life and just ran away and doesn't want to be found. This theory is supported by the fact Lars had his mom cancel all his credit cards before disappearing. But if Lars really wanted to start a new life, couldn't he have disappeared in a less dramatic way, not in an airport with CCTV cameras everywhere? People think that Lars had a traumatic brain injury when he was punched, and that the doctors who said he had a ruptured eardrum just missed that part. Traumatic brain injury can sometimes cause paranoia and hallucinations, but these are not common symptoms. It's also possible Lars had gotten involved in drug smuggling. Bulgaria, especially the area that Lars was staying in, is very poor. It is known for drug trafficking and human trafficking. This theory is supported by the fact that Lars used the same cab driver several times during the trip. People speculate that Lars disappearing while his friends were at McDonald's was so that he could go get drugs. It would also explain why Lars would want to stay behind after his friends left. But Lars had a good job and came from a well-off family. He didn't seem desperate for money. Others speculate that Lars was forced by the men at the bar to sell drugs against his will. Either way, there is no real evidence to support these theories, and no drugs were found in his luggage. Lars didn't even speak Bulgarian. The last theory sounds like something straight out of Hostel, but is actually the most likely outcome. People theorize that Lars was the victim of organ harvesting. Organ harvesting is indeed a real thing.
The investigation of a business deal that deals in human body parts shifting from Detroit to Chicago as the feds launch a new raid.
And once again, hundreds of families will be left wondering if the bodies of loved ones have been bought and sold on the black market.
7 Action News investigator Jim Kirchner is here tonight with a story you'll see only on 7. Jim?
Stephen and Carolyn, this case started here, according to sources, when a man named Arthur Rathburn was shipping human body parts through Metro Airport. Get this, the box leaked blood. Those cargo haulers then called for help. Why were you stockpiling hundreds of human body parts here, sir? That's Art Rathburn. And remember his business 13 months ago? For 2 days, federal investigators dressed in hazmat suits removed body parts of 1,000 different people. Arms, legs, heads cut up and kept on ice, not embalmed, so they would be fresh for the black market.
Lars was young and healthy, making him the perfect candidate for organ harvesting, and plenty of people believe this is what happened to him.
Sad to say, I don't think we're ever going to see Lars again, because I happened to come across a site on the web which went back to 2014, and it was Bulgaria, about the secret black market organ trafficking trade in Bulgaria. And I honestly think that may be what happened to Lars. Yeah, the guy who must have walked in, what did Lars think of that guy? Why did that guy scare him so much? Had that been the guy who had been following him around? Maybe the guy who attacked him? Because these organ rings, organs are worth a lot of money, and certain blood types like O negatives and stuff, that is priceless. You can't put a price on an organ that can save a life. So basically, like, organ industry, the black market, it's big money, especially for DNA matches. And I just wanted to do this, to talk about this, so I could give maybe, you know, the people trying to find Lars some advice on where to look. Because you'd start with the doctor who wouldn't let Lars fly, and the person that attacked Lars, because they may have deliberately gone for the ear the night before he was due to fly home, so that he definitely couldn't fly, you know, and he would become separated from his friends. It could be a big ring where loads of people are involved, maybe even the chemist, you know, and the doctor in the airport, he could be scanning people for DNA matches for organs before people even arrive in that country, because he has access to all your health insurance, and whether you're a donor or you're not an organ donor, and all your, you know, if you're healthy, if you smoke, and all the things, and your country you're from, if you're a match, you know. And a lot of Germans and Bulgarians, they can exchange organs and they're successful. So it would make me think that if it was organs, it would have to be somebody in Bulgaria who needed an organ, because they'd have to be nearby to do the transfer, if you see what I'm saying. And yeah, that's why they were keeping Lars there and separating him, and it could have all been set up right down to the person who hit him on the ear, and the doctor, the hostel, everything, you know. They could have been tracking him, anything, and it's really scary.
This theory is supported by the fact that Dr. Kostov, who treated Lars at the airport, changed his story about the man who came into his office and spooked Lars 3 times. First, he said the man in his office was a representative from Lars's airline. Then he said it was an airport employee. Finally, he admitted he didn't know who the man was. Other employees gave cops a name, but that man wasn't in Bulgaria during the disappearance. Could the doctor or airport be involved? About a year after Lars went missing, a truck driver in Bulgaria claimed that he had given Lars a ride, but he didn't remember to where, so that kind of led nowhere. People have claimed they saw Lars as a homeless person in Bulgaria and even Poland. In 2016, the family got another promising lead that came all the way from Brazil. A man was found wandering the streets of Porto with no identification and no memory of who he was or where he came from. The man bore a striking resemblance to Lars. The Mittank family was contacted and sent a picture of the man, who they agreed looked a lot like Lars. However, the man was determined not to be Lars, but rather a missing Canadian man, Antoine Philippov, who disappeared in 2011. That just goes to show that it's possible to get very far and that there are people out there who do not know where they are. Speaking of Canada, in 2017, a woman in Ontario near the border claimed she was 99.9% sure that she had met Lars. She said that he looked disheveled, possibly even homeless, because she had just seen a YouTube video about him not too long ago. So she went up and started talking to him. She even asked him about his disappearance, to which she gave this really creepy, blank, empty stare, which the woman claims she'll never forget. The man that she thinks was Lars started talking to her in German.
She didn't understand what he was saying, but from some words she could make out, it sounded like he was asking to use her phone, to which she refused. Then he asked again, almost pleading to use her phone. She still said no. She then went home and claims she called a tip line for Lars and she got a deadline, so she just posted the story on Reddit in desperation. So make of that what you will.
In 2019, a German truck driver gave a hitchhiker a ride from Dresden to Schildow in Oberhavel, Brandenburg. The driver became aware of the Mittank case later and said that the man with him resembled an older version of Mittank. The driver said that the man had long hair and a beard. He said that his eyes seemed tired and his cheekbones were prominent. Mom Sandra says she believes it's possible that Lars is alive, but could have lost his memory. That's about it. I really want to know what you guys think in the comments. Personally, the organ harvesting makes the most sense to me, although I certainly hope I'm wrong. Hopefully Lars is out there and doesn't know who he is. I think something happening to his mind when he was punched is also possible. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. I will see you very soon for another video. Bye.
In the darkness, where secrets hide, there's a corner where the truth resides. Gather round, all you seekers of the night. Welcome to Patrick's Dark Corner, where things come to light. Patrick's Dark Corner, uncovering the mysteries, diving deep into the dark, revealing all the histories. Watch the shadows dance and secrets intertwine. Patrick's Dark Corner, the truth you find.